Quick heads up before we get started. I'm not a doctor, and nothing in this show is medical advice. Always talk to your own physician before starting anything new, especially if you're pregnant, nursing, or on medication. Okay, let's get into it. Ashwagandha is one of those supplements that went from ancient herb to modern wellness aisle celebrity. It shows up in capsules, gummies, powders, sleepy time blends, workout recovery formulas, and probably 3 products at the checkout counter you did not mean to look at. So today, we are going to pull it apart without the hype. What it is, what some research suggests, where the evidence gets thinner, and who should probably slow down before adding it to the cabinet. This is the Stack Genius Show. Ashwagandha is a root used in Ayurvedic tradition, which is a traditional system of medicine from India. You will also see it called Withania somnifera, which sounds less like a supplement and more like a password your Wi-Fi router made up. In modern supplement language, ashwagandha usually gets described as an adaptogen. That word gets thrown around a lot, so let me make it plain. An adaptogen is generally described as something that may help the body respond to everyday stress. That does not mean it makes you bulletproof. It does not mean it turns a bad sleep schedule into a wellness plan. It does not mean your inbox becomes less annoying. Sadly, science has not solved that one. What it means is that some compounds in ashwagandha may interact with stress response pathways in the body. The key word is may. This is not a magic switch. It is an herb with active compounds, and the research is interesting, but not universal. The products you see in stores are usually made from either the root, the leaves, or a branded extract. That matters because different extracts are not automatically interchangeable. Dose, extraction method, and standardization can change what is actually in the bottle. So when someone says, "Ashwagandha worked for me," that is useful as a personal story, but it does not tell you exactly what product, what dose, what extract, or what else was going on in their life at the time. And this is where people get into trouble with supplements in general. They hear one good story, then they buy a random bottle, then they expect the same result. That is not stacking. That is guessing with nicer packaging. Let's stack it up. Most of the modern interest around ashwagandha is tied to everyday stress, perceived stress scores, sleep quality, and general well-being. A number of small human studies have found that certain ashwagandha extracts were associated with improvements in stress-related questionnaires or sleep-related measures compared with placebo. That is the positive side. Here is the slower, more honest side. A lot of these studies are small. Some run for only a few weeks. Some use specific branded extracts, which means the results may not apply to every ashwagandha product on the shelf. Some outcomes are based on self-reported questionnaires, which can still be useful, but they are not the same as a big, long-term clinical outcome study. And results are not universal. Some people notice a difference. Some do not. Some feel great. Some feel off. You may also see ashwagandha discussed around cortisol. Some studies have reported changes in cortisol-related measures, but I would be careful with how confidently that gets repeated online. Cortisol is not a villain hormone. You need it. It changes naturally throughout the day. Reducing every conversation about stress to lower cortisol is one of those wellness internet shortcuts that sounds smart until you look at it for more than 12 seconds. The better framing is this. Certain ashwagandha extracts have some human research suggesting they may support how some people experience everyday stress or sleep quality. But the evidence is not a blank check. It does not prove every product works. It does not prove everyone should take it. And it definitely does not replace the basics: sleep timing, caffeine timing, food, movement, and getting actual help when something bigger is going on. That last part matters. If someone is dealing with severe, persistent, or worsening symptoms of any kind, an herb is not the place to start. That is doctor territory. Morgan territory is helping you think more clearly about the supplement shelf, not pretending the supplement shelf is a medical system. Myth number 1. More is better. Not really. With ashwagandha, more is not automatically smarter. Some studies use specific dose ranges, and going beyond a product label because you want faster results is a bad habit. More can mean more chance of side effects. It can also make it harder to know what is helping and what is causing problems. Here is what is actually true. If someone chooses to try it, they should respect the product directions, avoid stacking multiple ashwagandha products on top of each other, and pay attention to how they feel. Myth number 2. Ashwagandha works like an instant sedative. That is not the right expectation. Some people take it at night because they feel it fits their routine better. Some take it earlier in the day. Some do not feel much of anything. But if someone is expecting a dramatic, same-night knockout effect, they may be disappointed. This is not a cartoon frying pan to the sleep cycle. Here is what is actually true. When benefits show up in studies, they are usually measured over time, not 5 minutes after the first capsule. Myth number 3. It is natural, so it is risk-free. No. Natural does not mean automatically safe for everyone. Poison ivy is natural, so are thunderstorms. Nature is not your personal compliance department. Ashwagandha can cause side effects for some people, including digestive upset, drowsiness, or just a general, "this does not agree with me" feeling. There are also groups that should be especially cautious. If you are pregnant, nursing, taking thyroid medication, taking sedatives, managing a medical condition, or preparing for surgery, this is something to discuss with a qualified professional before using it. Here is what is actually true. A supplement can be interesting and still deserve respect. So who might reasonably consider ashwagandha? Maybe someone who is already doing the obvious, unglamorous work first. They are protecting sleep as much as real life allows. They are not drinking caffeine at 5 p.m. and then blaming biology. They are eating actual meals. They have looked at their current supplement stack and are not accidentally taking overlapping blends with mystery doses. For that person, ashwagandha might be worth discussing or testing carefully as a short-term experiment for everyday stress support or sleep quality, depending on their situation. I would keep expectations modest. I would use one product at a time, I would track how I feel, and I would not keep taking it just because the label has earthy colors and a leaf on it. If you try it, give yourself a clear plan. What are you hoping changes? Sleep quality? Evening wind down? General sense of tension after a normal day? Pick something observable. Then write it down. If nothing changes, that is data. If something feels worse, that is also data. The goal is not to collect supplements like achievement badges. The goal is to understand your stack. And if the reason you are reaching for ashwagandha is that something feels seriously wrong, or you are trying to manage something that belongs in a medical conversation, pause. Bring that to a clinician. Supplements can sometimes be part of a broader wellness routine, but they should not be used as a way to avoid getting real help. That is ashwagandha. Interesting, reasonably well studied compared with a lot of trendy ingredients, and still not magic. I would put it in the worth understanding, not worth worshiping category. Next time, we will get into another part of the supplement shelf and sort what is useful from what is just loud. This has been the Stack Genius Show. If today's episode made you look at your supplement shelf a little differently, that is the whole point. Stack Genius helps you keep track of what you take, spot ingredient overlap, and make your stack easier to understand. Download Stack Genius on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and start cleaning up the guesswork. Until next time, this is Morgan. Let's stack it up.